Senator Paul.
I'd like to begin by wishing a speedy recovery to the two police officers in Louisville who were shot yesterday in the line of duty. I joined Senator Scott and others in saying that we have to appreciate our police more generally. They're protecting us from the vandals, the marauders, the arsonists in our cities. And it's not just the Democrat proposition of defunding the police that threatens us. It's also the idea that if we don't appreciate our police, we won't have more volunteering to become policemen in the next generation. So I think it's absolutely imperative that we do show our appreciation for these people who are risking their lives to keep us safe. My wife and I know about this personally. As you saw from the video going into this, we were attacked by a mob in D.C. just a few weeks ago. For those of you who doubt that the mob had violent intent, immediately after we were safely into the hotel, or somewhat safe in our hotel, one of the police officers was assaulted and received stitches in his face. And I guess what bothered me is, I commend them for their heroism. I truly believe they saved our lives. But the person who assaulted the policeman was from out of state. I think their federal charges were lodged, but then he was released on his own recognizance. I tweeted out somewhat snarkily, if you're looking for him, you may look in Kenosha. But I think we do have to investigate these people, and we have to put blame where blame is. We need to find out who's financing them. If you're from out of state and you attacked someone in D.C., I would think that the FBI or federal authorities should investigate, how did he get there, who's paying for it. I can tell you that Black Lives Matter is supporting these folks and that we shouldn't shy away from attributing blame where blame goes. When we were attacked, the head of Black Lives Matter in Louisville had this to say. She said, "We can see the fear in their faces, and that's how we want them to live." Their goal is terrorism. They're admitting it. If you look at their exchanges online and social media, they are saying their goal is to terrorize public officials and really anybody. Many of the people in the restaurants that they're being terrorized are not public officials, but their goal is terror. Now, whether or not that equates to something that you can legally investigate, I don't know, but we should know that, and we should let corporate America know that. Corporate America is giving millions of dollars to something they perceive as an anti-racist group. In reality, it's a group that is funding terror and funding terrorists to go from city to city. I don't think probably anyone can comment directly on the police officer that was assaulted that was protecting my wife and I. But I guess in general, Director Wray, does a police officer being attacked by someone who came from another state, do you think that can fall under the purview of the FBI? Is the FBI in general investigating cases like this where people from out of state are doing something you would think it would be a local crime to be investigated, but if they're from out of state, is there a federal angle to an investigation?
Well, Senator, first let me say I appreciate your sympathy and appreciation to that officer, well, we're pleased that the offender was charged. Obviously, the release is concerning. I would say that when it comes to interstate travel, there are sometimes federal charges that we can bring. So there are federal rioting charges that have an interstate nexus that we have started trying to use around the country where we can. And there are a variety of sort of interstate commerce type hooks that we can look to. We are aggressively looking for a lot of the same kinds of things that you're pointing to: funding, supply chains, networks, communications with others in different parts of the country. And certainly the interstate travelers are often some of the most serious offenders. I know that in Portland, for example, there were a couple of individuals that I can think of off the top of my head who were coming from a different state, who were in one case threatening to blow up a building, and in another case attempting to attack a building, and charges were brought in both of those instances. So wherever we can find a tool or a legally available weapon to go after those people, we're going to use it, because while there are certainly a large number, even a majority of people out there who are protesting peacefully, it doesn't take very many. As you experienced, you and your wife, in the really shocking video that was played, it doesn't take very many people to suddenly cause very serious harm.
And I think